Great design is absolutely essential to great products in a sustainable way, but it is not sufficient.
We need to learn how to fail and fail fast, fail early, and be comfortable with that.
Sponge everything, but also make sure if somebody squeezes you, you give back. That's the beauty of sponges.
What I'm especially interested in is the theory around design thinking.
Expect some quite high-level design speech, because I think people here a lot of them are very skilled designers.
We regularly have our clients say, well, we already know everything, right? We have these giant research reports and lots of data about our business. But for us, it's actually important that our design teams go out and literally are in the environment of the people they're going to design something for, really immerse themselves. Weir believes that, say in the next 3 years, 3D television is going to be widely adopted, very successful in the living room. If you do this, then maybe you start to realize that, I'm not sure that everybody's going to actually buy a 3D television set and sit in their living room looking as silly as I do now. As much as we are usually asked by our clients, like, what should we do? What's going to happen? What's next? What's the big next thing? In all reality, we don't know either. We're certainly not saying, oh, you need to bring designers in. Those guys can solve your problems, right? No, you need the McKinseys, you need hardcore engineers, but the designers can add additional perspective. So what we actually want to do much more is ask ourselves, well, what do we want to do next? And it doesn't necessarily need to be something amazingly innovative or different. Let's just go do something. Let's take a small step. This process usually is hard, right? The problems are difficult. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of there's not enough time. So people tend to get a little stressed. And that's bad, because they should have fun. If we don't have fun with our clients doing this stuff, then we've also failed. This is another problem we see a lot. Obviously these big, nasty, wicked problems are usually chopped up into different groups. So we have different teams really owning very different parts of an experience, and the end results tend to be something like the Homer car that you see here. When I talked to Bill about this, he was instantly like, oh yeah, well, I have this example of the Simon smartphone. It's from '93. And it basically does everything the iPhone does, well, except for the internet, because it didn't exist yet. Yeah, the reality is a lot of these things, of course, have been done. So I say, let's do them again.
Underground is important. So we now have such a big speed in things. So if you have an idea and you fart it online by a tweet or anything, it's out there, and you don't have time anymore to prototype, to have your ideas ripe and stuff like that. So underground is crucial. And I think this is also a thing that I've learned now, is that 80% of the things that I do is the same thing, but most of the time the question how things start and the outcome is different. Suck up everything that you know, so use your iTunes U and anything you bump into and everybody you bump into. And sponge everything, but also make sure if somebody squeezes you, you give back. That's the beauty of sponges. You need to have actual stuff for people to have opinions about it. How I do that, if I have a virtual project, in this case the Dream School project, I already have my Moleskine booklets and stuff like that branded as well, so I can give that away and what is it, and I can tell my story.
You can have the best designers in the world. You can have Tjeerd and his hand-picked dream team working in your company, and your company can still go down the toilet if you don't know how to play them. And if you don't understand that great design does not come from a great designer or even a great design department. It comes from an entire culture. Great design is absolutely essential to great products in a sustainable way, but it is not sufficient. It's just part of an ecosystem. My position is design is a specialized profession which is distinct from other professions. Like a plumber, we can all maybe change a washer on a tap, but I suspect none of us would plumb our entire house or design the plumbing. There's a difference between having some competence versus being an expert and a professional. Most companies who talk about how important design is don't even know who makes design decisions in their company. They'll have a chief executive officer, a chief financial officer, a chief counsel, a chief technology officer, but very, very few have an executive who's responsible for design. Now tell me if that's true. Tell me again that they take design seriously. Oh no, everybody understands design. I understand design. Nonsense. The challenges we have today in business and technology and in society are really, really serious, hard, difficult. I think you call them hairy problems, Tjeerd? Wicked problems. They are not there to be solved by amateurs. They need people with really deep professional skills. To go from invention, when the first idea appears, to the point where it reaches maturity, that maturity I define as reaching $1 billion industry. It takes a minimum of 20 years. So, while I agree I can't predict the future being beyond the tip of my nose, as soon as I come here, it's there. Notice, this is the most important implication, that anything that is going to become a $1 billion industry within the next 10 years is already 10 years old. You don't have to predict the future, you just have to know the last 10 years of history and extrapolate. The mouse, if you doubt this, the mouse was invented in 1965. I first used one in 1971. Xerox PARC didn't get one until 1973. Apple didn't release one until 1984. But it wasn't until Windows 95 that everybody had a mouse. Why does it take 20 years? Because nothing is a success because of a technology or because even a single product. You need the entire ecosystem to be set and in place, and that takes time. But if we understand that and we understand the structure and the nature of ecosystems, and we possibly can change that 20 years to 15 years. And that would be a way more valuable invention or innovation than any product that you would design. The ways that we are building technology products today, the way we organize our companies, is simply proven to not work. And even where it does work, all of your competitors are doing it the same way. Why on God's earth do you think that you can be competitive by doing the same things as your competitors? And the question is, do we have the determination and the commitment to change our organizations in a way that actually makes them so they might even be successful? And I would argue that no matter what your business is, even if you're not trying to make an iPod or some fancy product that looks like a designer that goes in the pictures, photographs beautifully in a design magazine, that design professionals are a necessary and critical part of the team that you need to be able to do that, not because of their product design things, but because of the way they think and how it complements the way the other thought processes, which are equally important but not sufficient, that's already in your conventional organization. And with that, I'm done. Thank you.
So today we've been speaking about how to bring change to companies, basically, how to change businesses with input from designers. We're a design consultancy. We usually are thought of as people who make things, objects that you can touch, or things on, say, your computer screen or on your mobile phone. And those are very important aspects, of course, of what we create. But what we actually see is that most of our impact is more at sort of high-level, board-level decision-making, understanding what the customers of a company really need and what they're going to need in the future, what technologies are available and what you could do with those, and then making that tangible, so making visualizations or demos or models of future products that then help lay out that road, drive the innovation process in those companies.
The things that I was talking about are things that were well-formed and I spoke about and wrote about before I joined Microsoft. When I was discussing with Microsoft and giving talks there and meeting people, these are things I talked about. So in essence, by Microsoft hiring me, knowing this is the package they're getting, In some sense, I become part of the Microsoft story, and my job is to try and bring that there. Would everybody else or even anyone else from Microsoft speak in quite the same way? Probably not. And I think that's actually a good thing. They may not say things the same way or use the same examples, but I suspect they would say that the things I'm talking about are in fact valuable and important to the company and its culture.
I thought it was a very interesting look into the mind of designers that actually develop things that affect us all.
Intriguing, reflective and ambitious.
Bill Buxton is way too smart for me.
Interactive, visionary and creative.
Well, I just found out that we're halfway to become a $1 billion company.
Interesting, new and mixed.
Very enthusiastic, inspiring afternoon.